Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Jyotsna Sharma. I'm a Senior Associate Editor with BW Business World. Welcome to Master Strokes powered by IBM. It's Season 1, Episode 3. Today we will speak to Charu Mathur, CDO at IndusInd. We've also got Geeta Gurnani, the CTO at IBM. We're going to talk to them about leadership. We're going to talk to them about how they've transformed their organization. Before we begin, let's hear from the ladies. Let's hear a little bit something about them. Charu, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Thank you, Geeta. Hi, I'm Charu Mathur. I am the Chief Digital Officer at IndusInd Bank. I have been with the bank for nearly 10 years. By the day, I'm a technology enthusiast. I really love using technology to solve business problems, to solve customer problems. And I love what we are doing right now, creating products which are tech-led. Other than that, I'm mother to a 6-year-old, and that keeps me busy for most of the other part of my life.
Geeta?
Yeah, so I think you know that I lead the technical team for IBM, but being a mother of a 21-year-old and being industry for almost 25 years, I believe that career and motherhood is a choice. It's not either or. So one of the things I really champion is women back to workforce. That's my passion, and I think I don't leave a chance not to talk about it. So I would like to really say that I'm using this platform that I work for women back to workforce, and I would want to appeal everybody to work towards it.
That's wonderful. That's absolutely wonderful. And with a 6-year-old, Charu, work and managing home, and brilliant. So let's start with you actually. Let's begin. IndusInd has recently completed 25 years, and it aims to be India's most convenient bank. What are the key tenets of this, and as a CDO, how are you driving this?
Yeah, I think as a CDO, and not just for IndusInd Bank, for all the banks and, as technocrats, when we talk of convenience, fundamentally we all agree that technology plays a very important role in bringing convenience to people's lives. So, of course, as CDOs, as technocrats in the industry, across industries, we have a very important role to play there. The way we look at this at IndusInd is how do we make it simpler and easy for our customers to access financial services. And banking, all said and done, banking has been a little complicated for consumers. It's not that, I have not heard a customer say that I use this banking app and everything was so easy, so convenient. It's a very rare thing to hear that from a customer. You would hear that about an Uber, you would hear that about an Amazon, but not yet for banking. But money is not an uninteresting topic if you think about it. So you can actually sit and plan with your spouse, with your family about money, and you can spend hours doing that. But when it comes to using a mobile app of a bank, or when it comes to engaging with the banking application, it's always not that easy, seamless. So that's how we are looking at it. How do we make it easy, engaging for our customers, and how do we make it convenient for them? And one of the very basic things that I firmly believe in is design thinking. So that's, I think, is very important. If I have to pick out one thing that makes that difference, is having human-centered thought process, having an empathy for your customers, and then building products from there. And that is something that I really inculcate in my team. I push them very hard on that. So it's things like, you could say that I want to enable movement of money or funds transfer on my app. That could be one way of looking at a problem. The other way is that you could say I want to make payments absolutely easy for a customer. I want my client to never forget that he has an overdue bill. I want to make sure that all aspects of his recurring payments are automatic, Absolutely, he doesn't have to think about them. If he has subscriptions running, I will tell him which ones are running, which ones are off, which payments are coming. So it's about things like that. How do you make it easy for customers at every point of engagement? How do you take a problem-solving view to things?
And of course, technology is a major part of this, leveraging technology. And coming to you, Geeta, how are you at IBM helping banks with their digital transformation journey?
Thanks, Jyotsna. And I'll just pick from where Charu left, right? Where she spoke about the convenience part of it and sending the right reminders to the customers and always provide customer a seamless experience, right? So I don't see these two as separate, right? Which is technology and business as a separate. I feel that technologies are really enabling this whole experience as we talk about. So if I pick up the first one, what Charu spoke about, which is the entire customer experience, seamless customer experience about every product and services, what banks today are really trying to offer to customers. I think from a technology standpoint, we are bringing a lot more innovation through AI and automation. Because understanding consumers' behavior, AI plays a very, very important role. But then what do you do once you understand customer, right? So we are really helping banks that leverage AI and leverage automation to create that kind of an experience for the users where they feel that banks really understand them and their needs, right? So that's a one part which we are really helping. The second part, if you see today, then banks are really becoming open, which means whether it's open banking, whether they're collaborating with the ecosystem. I really love the way banks are going ahead and collaborating with fintechs or launching agri platforms or launching MSME platforms, right? But all of this actually puts bank as a platform, which means people are leveraging banks to offer their product and services, which requires a very ecosystem and open technology which will enable banks to expose their services, right? Because that's only the collaboration happen. So at IBM, the second area we are really helping is integrating ecosystem. So we have integration platform, we have API platform, which is really helping banks to connect to within departments, because now there is a lot of cross-sell, upsell which banks do of their services, and also with the ecosystem, right? So those are like the real touch and feel which consumer feels, which is the seamless experience of payment, seamless experience of ecosystem, right? But I think the third element, which is an important element, is that banks need to also build a very resilient and secure infrastructure. Right, with so much digitization, with going so much openly offering their services to ecosystem or the banks, the security is of prime concern, right? So we are also helping banks that how do they secure their transaction, how do they secure their customer data, because this is very, very important, and people definitely see bank as a trust building organizations, right? So security is the pillar which we are doing. But also, since banks are constantly transforming, right? So we are also helping bank to have that secure infrastructure, but constantly modernize that, right? So the whole core banking now is getting modernized so that it could be exposed, right? So having and enabling them with the hybrid cloud as well, right? So I'll just summarize what I spoke, because I spoke about multiple things. So one, enabling the seamless customer experience through AI automation. Two, open ecosystem through the integration platforms what we give. And third is the resilient infrastructure and modernized infrastructure, which is around security and infrastructure. So that's how we are helping.
So Charu, Geeta spoke about the open ecosystem-led model. So how does this fit into your scheme of things, and how are you collaborating with fintech players and other players in the ecosystem?
So I completely agree with Geeta on that. So see, there was a time when people used to say that, okay, banking is not happening in branches, customers are not walking in, they are using a bank mobile app to do most of the stuff. Now increasingly we do see it happening that banking is not happening on a banking mobile app. It's actually happening on some other app. The customer was purchasing something. He was buying a TV and he ended up converting it into an EMI scheme. So banking happened, but it happened on a platform which is not really a bank platform. But at the end of the day, he created a loan with the bank. So the world of embedded finance and ecosystem is it's a very exciting thing which is now unfolding, and it is going to accelerate. I do believe that people will be using various apps as part of their lifestyle, and we will have to interweave ourselves and our products and services inside that customer lifestyle. And the customer will not necessarily come to a banking platform to avail a product or service. So, so we have to open up our stack. We have to open up everything that we offer, be it opening of a personal loan, opening an account, even transacting, opening a deposit. We have to take our technology and put it out there for anybody to consume. And some of the things that we do have a lot of partners that we already engage with. But what Geeta said is very important. What is most important in this new way of operating is how do you take care of customer consent? How do you take care of data privacy? How do you take care of information security? So that's something that we are looking at, and that's where we also collaborate with a lot of providers like IBM. Basically, how do you keep this entire ecosystem embedding very secure and protect, so that the customer feels trusted and can still have the same level of trust with the bank that he typically has if he were to take that product from a bank branch, for example.
So Geeta, coming to you, with all this collaboration happening, we're in the midst of this, banking revolution. How can technology help banks thrive in this environment?
Yeah, and I think technology has a very important role to play, and we spoke about this earlier also, which is the entire API ecosystem that we're giving banks as a platform to the fintechs. That is the core of it, how we will help banks to thrive in this environment. But I think what this brings as a couple of challenges as well, as you go more and more open, it really brings the challenge of managing heterogeneous environments. Now every fintech or every regtech or any partner you will bring, they sometimes bring their own technology, they bring their own infrastructure. So one thing where we are helping banks deeply is around hybrid cloud strategy. We are helping them to manage heterogeneous environments, which could be either private cloud, public cloud, on-premise infrastructure, what they have, so that they can manage the whole show well. So that is one area where we are really helping. The second is the more openness, the more security and compliance challenges. And I am putting them in the different categories, which is compliance and security part of it. So we are also helping banks, saying that how will you manage security, leveraging our zero trust framework at every, what do we call as a touch point of the bank, which means whether it's a network, whether it's an infrastructure, whether it's your mobile app, how are we making that secure, And from a compliance standpoint, because you see banking is the most regulated industry, So there are many compliance needs which are there. So we are also helping them with lot of our technology to stay true to the compliance part of it, save the customer data part of it, So those are few steps which we are really helping. So I would just say that if I have to again summarize what I just said, then one is the whole integration, which let bank offer themselves as a platform. The two is the entire hybrid cloud environment where they can manage the heterogeneous ecosystem. And the third is security and compliance. Thank you.
Charu, coming to you, consumers today expect a personalized experience. How are you providing a personalized experience and, engagement, enhancing engagement?
I think, there was a time when a lot of work that banks were doing was making personas and then saying that, okay, this is a persona, and this persona probably likes this, likes to do shopping here, likes these types of brands, or pays an electricity bill, or does a certain type of transaction. Which is to say that let's say a 35-year-old working woman is a different persona from a 35-year-old homemaker, for example. I think now we are at a stage where you can actually be very, very hyper personalized, and technology is making it possible. And you can actually say that within the 35-year-old women working profiles, there are actually very different shades of people over there. And it's not okay to paint them all with a single brush. And everybody has their own unique needs, they have their own unique likings. And technology enables us to understand that and then talk relevant with respective customers. Some things that go into this is data cannot be an afterthought. A lot of times what happens is when we are building products, we build a product, we'll have an application, and then then we say, okay, now let's bring the data inside a data warehouse. Then let's build our models, let's build personas, and then let's say, okay, who does what? But you got to have data right from day one. So as a consumer, as the customer downloads your application, right from that point we start listening and we start understanding, okay, what is the customer doing? And real time you have to understand that, and then accordingly nudge the client with products, with offers which are relevant to him. So some of the things that we are doing there, we are actually in the middle of creating a completely differentiated new offering for our customers in retail individual segment. And one of the pillars will be that it will be hyper personalized. So what that means is that it will understand that this is a customer which actually on the 5th of every month pays a kind of a payment to the same person, maybe it's his rent or whatever. It's a very recurring behavior, happens every time. Could I just tell the client to convert it into a recurring? So the next time when he comes, the app will prompt him, do you want us to make it a recurring, so that you live your life efficiently and you're not bothered about coming every month to make a standalone payment. And now we can do that. So we'll also have things like the customer can curate his own loyalty program, and he can say that, okay, my preference is Amazon, Myntra, Uber or whatever, and I don't care about tons of other offers that you give. Can you just give me rewards and cashbacks on these brands that I love? Right? And then he can change it over a period of time. And we could also use his actual spend data and tell him, looks like you made a mistake in your selection of brands. Your actual spend pattern seems to be slightly different. And do you want to readjust so that the savings increase for you? So things like that are very much possible. But for that, data is a very strong foundation. The data has to be, you have to have the data set up, the data pipeline set up right from day one. So across our new product developments that we take up, the normal product development is that you decide the wireframes, you say, okay, what is the prototype going to look like? And then we start engineering it, and then you deploy it. Now we critically make data as a critical component in that. So we say, okay, what is the experience you want to create? For that experience, what kind of data needs to be created at the back end? And then of course there is an entire what we call as a MarTech stack, marketing technology stack, where we have campaign engines and marketing technology tools like Google Analytics, etc. And we infuse that on top of the data foundation to interact with the customers intelligently, like some of the examples that I shared.
Coming to you, Geeta, could you tell us and tell the viewers key initiatives at IBM that are sort of focused on the banking sector, and also how they would impact the banking sector?
Sure, and I think sometimes we all either love or hate abbreviations, but I'll just put like into 3 abbreviations like PPT, as we were discussing some time back, which is people, partnership, and technology. So IBM is actually investing into these 3 areas as far as the banking industry is concerned. So let me pick up the first one, which is people, right? So I think my belief is that now, and we are all know where are we and what is the need from a skilling standpoint, right? So I believe that digital transformation is actually not about purely business or not about technology. It's about people, right? So do you have competency and the skill and the people readiness to really give those kind of an experiences which customer is expecting, or let's say our clients, banks are expecting from us, right? So one thing which we are constantly investing is that we are creating industry specializations, and we have what we call client innovation centers, CICs or COEs as we call them, where we are really bringing lot more industry centric competency. And we, like recently in last 2.5 years, I think we have opened more than 10-12 offices across the country. And we are also trying to actually take this near to the talent, which means you may not have the entire concentration of talent in the Mumbai, Delhi, Bangalore, Pune, right? We are actually taking to the tier 2 cities where you will have the talent. So we recently opened in Kochi, we opened in Bhubaneswar, we opened in Ahmedabad, right? So that's a first pillar where IBM is really investing in supporting the banking initiatives and supporting the ecosystem of the bank from a skilling and readiness standpoint, right? The second one is the partnership, right? Because we are creating an ecosystem where bank is actually consuming not only the fintechs or regtechs or marktechs, but also the legacy core banking system. So let me take one example, like let's say Finacle, right? That actually runs on the entire IBM hardware platform today, because the amount of scalability required, right? And we all know in India what kind of a scalability is really needed, right? So we are investing into the partnerships big time, and we are also investing in our partnership with the ecosystem as well, right? So that's a second pillar I think we are heavily focused around. And maybe if you hear our CEOs recently, Arvind actually spoke about saying that we really want partnerships to be at forefront from an IBM perspective, so that we can serve our customers better. We can give our customers more choice that which partner they would want to go, and they are all IBM ready from a technology standpoint, right? The third one, which of course I am responsible for, which is technology, right? The third part of the PPT from a technology standpoint. So I think we are making a lot more advancement in technology across multiple areas, right? But the one I think I want to deeply highlight, because we spoke about AI, we spoke about automation, integration. With the amount of digitization happening and amount of services which Charu just spoke about, that giving you the loyalty preferences, giving you every preference what you would expect, imagine what kind of a processing power you would need at the back end, right? Every touch point of customer is throwing some data. So how would you process that amount of data, and how will you secure that data, right? So from a technology standpoint, I would say that we are deeply investing in creating very, very efficient infrastructure, right? Whether it is our mainframe, which was a very popular platform with banks, still continues to be, but we are bringing openness in that, which means we are now offering mainframe with Linux. From an openness standpoint, we have our new power system, which we launched, Power 10, which actually caters to the very, very heavy workloads, right? Now, in turn, what it helps, because, and maybe Charu, you will agree with me, that with so much digitization, with so much processing needed, there is a demand of a responsible banking from a sustainability standpoint as well, right? So we are investing through our infrastructure initiative, through our investment from a sustainability standpoint in the products, so that we can actually provide banks and enable banks to be responsible bank from having an efficient infrastructure, and also having the tools and technologies to really cater to the needs of sustainability, right? So I would just say that we will enable banks by saying like, be good while doing good. Okay, that is what I would say that banks would be doing. So again, just summarizing, which is people, partnerships and technology is where we are really investing from a banking standpoint.
Let's talk a little bit about leadership. What is your leadership mantra, and how can you create a culture of innovation and inclusion in an organization?
There are few things that stand out for me. It may sound simple, but one of the very innate qualities that I feel all good leaders have is optimism. And I think more than any other period, COVID taught us that. There are leaders who emerged because when the chips are down, you got to be optimistic about the future, irrespective of what the circumstances are. I feel one of the important traits is to always believe that tomorrow is better than today, and that's very important to me. I think that creates a very positive thought process, and as a leader you certainly have to be optimistic. The second thing is you got to think a little big, so you have to have a courage, and you can't be, there will be many naysayers, and people will tell you it's too much, too difficult, or impossible, whatever, but you have to have courage and conviction. That's an important aspect, I think, as a leader that you need to have. And third for me is integrity. I just think it's just a hygiene. I just admire integrity a lot. I expect integrity in every form, in every aspect of daily life. So I think these are the 2-3 things that I feel as a leader you must embody, which I have learned over a period of time, looking at people who inspired me, mentors who I really look up to. These things, these are the type of qualities I picked up from them, and I think these are important to have. On innovation, my take is that it requires listening and listening to customers and listening to employees, and very, very active listening. And for example, a sound box, right? No, I don't think a customer said that I need that when I accept a payment, there should be a sound in my shop. But it is about listening at a deeper level and having that empathy with your consumer, and just literally trying to be like that shopkeeper and running that life for a day, and then thinking, okay, why is it inefficient? How can I do something innovative which will make it efficient? So like we have a merchant app, for small retailers. So where we have this feature of khata, because a lot of small retailers have people where they make sales, but they want to collect the money later, because it's just a regular customer for them. So we basically try to digitize that, and we say, okay, you just make a record here instead of in your register. And then if that customer has not paid, you send him reminders and you collect it. You'll just push a WhatsApp and the customer will pay you the money. And it's a very discreet way of reminding also. So things like that. I think that listening to the customers at a deeper level brings innovation, and listening to employees at every level, empowering employees at every level. I think that helps create a culture of innovation.
That's true. Geeta, your thoughts on this? How do you create a culture of innovation and inclusion in your organization?
So I think I would say I'll address first innovation. I think I always feel that, and as Charu also rightly said, I would say that encourage individuals but reward teams. Okay, that's I always believe, because unless you bring a culture of collaboration and trust, I think innovation is not going to thrive. Okay, then it will be just like a checklist and not the real innovation. So that is one, I think I would say it's important. Second, I think I would say that you need to model the behavior as a leader, which means walk the talk always, which means whatever your beliefs are, as Charu said about courage part of it, or listening to the customers, listening to the employees, I think as a leader you need to demonstrate that behavior, right? So unless you model that behavior, your teams and your people are not really going to understand that, right? So as far as, let's say, the inclusion is concerned, right, even as a small thing of letting everybody speak in a meeting, for me that's a very big thing, because then you have all voices heard as you go along, right? So I would say that in the innovation and inclusion, modeling the behavior is important. Creating in an environment of collaboration and trust is utmost important. And of course, empathetic leadership is what I always believe in.
Thank you so much. So we've spoken to you about leadership, we've spoken about innovation, we've spoken about technology. Thank you so much, ladies, for your time. Thank you for speaking to us.